want to start with Centro. I want to start with Centro because discussing the men's 1500, especially in the United States, has become a popular topic on this pod. Matt Centrowitz goes to this sound running meet, runs 3:35.26, wins with ease. Gordon, it's easy now to say Centro is back, but perhaps now, after we saw this, we could conclude that he never actually left. Because if you hadn't been paying attention, say you did not watch the beginning of the 2020 track season, so you knew about Centro before, but you just didn't watch the beginning, his first two meets when he ran, 340 and a 150. Then you tuned into this race. You turn to the person you're watching with who was tuned in and was a little maybe nervous or worried if they were a Centrowitz fan, and you'd say, what's the big deal? What's wrong? This looked like an Olympic champion. This looked like a guy who was running a prelim out there. The amount of times he looked over his shoulder the last 100, it's not like he nipped everybody at the line. He was cruising, running 3:35. And what you said, what I said, what a lot of people said going in to this meet was, after those two off races, we said, he's got to show us something. That was the moniker, right? He's got to show us something. And I think something in this race, if he got third, fourth, and ran 3:37, I think people would have been like, okay, he's trending in the right direction. Give him another month. Give him a championship setting. He'll rise to the occasion. But he went so far beyond that with this 3:35. And how he looked made it so clear that he is the favorite. I know all the college guys are going to be nipping at his heels here, but I was just – this was a throwback. It made everybody look or feel silly for doubting him in the first place because he looked so sharp.
Yeah, and he definitely kind of lived up to his status of being like, I know how to do this game. I know how to show up when it matters most. I know when to be my best self when it matters. And we looked back at his history. We talked about this, and he has history of having those weird finishing ninth races, those weird running 150s or 149s. And we're like, is Centro, what's going on with this? Is he hurt? What's going on? And then he finds a way to get back to himself and be the 335 that he can be. And in the U.S., being 335 shape is enough to win a title. And I think the only reason why there might have been a little bit of doubt is because he's getting up there in age, right? So you have to know eventually the wheels will fall off and eventually it will come to an end. But he basically proved that, like, yeah, that eventual is not this year. It's going to be in a year or two or three or four down the road. But it's definitely that eventual is not today. And he confirmed that. And I think, if you look at the race he beat Johnny Gregoric, he beat Josh Thompson, his training partner. I would say the people that were missing from that race, obviously the two college kids in Yared and Cole Hawker. And then you also have Clayton Murphy and Craig Engels. But Craig Engels hasn't been doing anything special. And Clayton Murphy, Clayton Murphy's, I think, going to be a strong top three performer. But, like, it's going to be hard to see Clayton Murphy beating a Centrowitz. And so I think the parlay betting line that I'm going to be putting down is a Centro, Naguse, Hawker, 1, 2, 3. And not sure the order, but, it's going to be one of those. Yeah. It's going to be those three up front in Naguse, Hawker, and Centro.
Yeah. And Tier, maybe if he runs it, I think we're gonna get some combo of Tier and Hawker being in the mix. I don't know who's gonna be in what event. On Friday, when we were talking about Naguse's 334 in the prelim, we're just in awe of that because you're thinking, okay, what can he do in an Olympic trials race? What can he do now in another rapid race? But you could almost extrapolate the same thing for Centro here because he looked so relaxed and composed. Because we've watched enough Centro now to know when he's like just getting by, right? Just rounding into shape at the right time and nipping people at the line and using that great acceleration over the last 300. This was a show of strength from him. I mean, he took the lead somewhat far out by his standards. It wasn't a last 50 meters just burst to the outside. And I just think you revert back to your preconceived notions of Centro, which for 99% of people going into the season was, yeah, he's going to find a way to make the team and he's going to be a favorite to win the trials. Fisher ran really well behind him for an American, but Fisher we don't think is going to run the race. So there was no other new person in this race that really asserted themselves. So I think that the top three you have makes a ton of sense. And of those three, who do you feel the best about? Well, I'm going to take the guy who's done this several times over versus guy. Well, the other guys are going through for the first time, right? And the other guys are going to be coming off of the NCAA championship the week before. So if you needed any other reason to pick Centrowitz, I'll give you a couple right there. Doesn't mean he's immune from an upset or immune from having a bad race, but having three people beat him now just doesn't seem likely at all.
Yeah, look at the rankings on your screen now. This was pre Yared running his 334 and pre Centro running his 335, but it seems to be coming into form there. Yeah, Engels and Murphy, but like it's just the odds of Centro falling all the way to fourth. I just don't see happening anymore. We did talk about Cooper Tier, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we talk about later at conference meets, but we keep on sleeping on Cooper Tier as a 1,500 meter runner. I think I am all just assuming he's running the 5K because you think, distance guy, 5K runner.
Yeah.
But like Cooper Tier has been having Hawker's number in the mile multiple times now. Cooper beat him in the mile when he ran 350. Cooper beat him in that 1,500 when he lost at the line to a Yard and a Goose. And then Cooper went on to win Pac-12s where he beat a Sam Tanner and company. Like Cooper Tier might also be a sneak. So I think it potentially could be three college kids versus Centro in that final where, I don't think all three will make it. Centro will be in the top three, but definitely we have three candidates to take two of the spots in the college world, which will be, I'm not sure when's the last time two college kids have made an Olympic team in a distance event. It's probably been forever. I don't know. If someone can find that out in the chat, much love. Has there ever been a time where two or more college kids made an Olympic team in a distance event?
I think it was a good run for Thompson too. 337. That's a decent result for him and knocks a little bit of time off. He hopes one of these, college kids has a bad race, burns out a bit. He's right there. I'm not counting out Engels yet too, but of that top 7, top 8 that you had, I think that's where the qualifiers are going to come from. A lot more clarity now than before. I'm interested if Tier does do it. It'd be great for the memes if Tier does it with Centro and Hawker and all those guys are in the mix. But part of me thinks they're going to split them up between the 15 and the 5. I don't know if that's actually what they're going to do, but it seems like whatever they run at NCAAs might be what they run at trials, and that might be a faulty assumption on my part. But if that's the case, you'd think that they would split them up for NCAAs as well too.